A happy day, a happy morning, the dawn of a new day, and of course, the first day of the rest and the best of our lives. Good morning. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, where we have very deep and frank conversations about the Nigerian project. Yes, you and I. Things that really matter to us is what we look into every weekday at this time, 7 a.m. here, where we see it as it is on Western Spring Television, channel 190 on StarTimes DTT, and also YouTube channel at Western Spring TV. We are live, so you have nothing, absolutely nothing to lose at you are on the go. And of course, last week, I was Femi Ojo. Today, I am Femi Ojo. And forever, I will always be Femi Ojo. Thank you for joining us. And of course, I am a Nigerian. Meet my other Nigerian.
Yeah, good morning.
Nigerian. Good morning. How are you doing?
Oh, great. Absolutely.
How was your weekend?
Wonderful. I'll say beautiful. It feels great to be alive. It's a beautiful Monday morning.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a fresh week. It's a fresh start. You know, new ideas.
Another
it's a new beginning. It's a new chapter.
Right.
We always have that opportunity, as long as we're alive, to always make the day and the next better. Yesterday is gone. It's a new day. It's a fresh page. So we can always make it better as we strive for perfection in everything we do.
Yes, we
and
do.
God willing, we will always get better. Even as Nigerians, you know, a lot of things going on in the country, but there is always hope. Let us keep hope alive. Nigeria, we get better. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, viewers from all over the world. Emeka Daniel is my name. Thank you once again for joining us on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. It promises to be a wonderful week, and you don't want to miss any episode of the show this week.
Right.
Thank you once again for joining us.
All right. And, you know, when you're talking about hope, over the weekend, the Pope was,
Inaugurated.
He was, consecrated for the assignment, and he drew, of course, global attention and, of course, global guests all over the world. So you're talking about hope, where the Pope was inaugurated, and, of course, the man with the renewed hope agenda
was there.
was at the place as well, of course, with other leaders in the world as well. And, you know, it was quite, unusual sight to see the president in suit, I must say.
Oh, absolutely. Black suit. Yeah, because he's always wearing his signature native and his signature cap, with that design on it. That's his signature anywhere you say him.
And the man was there. You know, I was watching with some persons yesterday, and I was told, was it because there was a dress code or something? Because he's somebody who wears the traditional attire. And even when he was governor, it was always like that. Maybe a pocket of occasions is where you see him wear the suit. So he was there. And of course, not just that he was there, there was a particular picture.
A picture,
where it was captured with his
exactly, and
competitor in the last election, Peter Obi, and one of the APC members, whose identity and his place in the APC or in the support for Ashiwaju, nobody can really say. That's Fayemi. Is he on the, possibly he's just on the fence, because he has not really been seen with the guys in power right now. So, and many persons are making a statement to say, okay, and you could see that picture, they were all smiles, all of them. Absolutely. In that particular picture. And then there is a conversation around that with Bayo Ononuga and all of those things, saying, Fayemi was like, you are welcome to our church and all of those things. And the president had to say, no, I'm not just the worker, I'm the leader of the delegation.
Leader of the delegation here.
And, but it just speaks to one thing. When those guys meet, when talking about those leaders, they don't necessarily throw blows
at all.
At the first instance of seeing themselves. So you, their supporters, you are hardline supporters. Just take it easy with your fellow, other political, friends on the other side of the divide. Take it calm. You could see Fayemi, you could see Tinubu, you could see Peter Obi, and they were smiling, exchanging pleasantries. What's your own? Somewhere in I don't want to mention any name, in the interior of where the Google map cannot even cover, brandishing cutlass and all of those things.
It doesn't make any sense. And like they always say, there is collaboration at the top. Okay, we only have competition at the bottom. So we only have competition at the bottom. Most times, those at the top are collaborating.
Yeah.
It is those at the bottom.
Remember last week somebody said he doesn't believe that we have different political parties. All we have is a ruling party,
absolutely,
a ruling class all over the place. All right, we have a lot to really talk about, but right now we'll start with the papers, and we believe if you are ready, we are. Good morning. All right, we'll start the headline segment today from, this is a part where we look at different headlines from major dailies in the nation. And of course, we have that already as well, quite a lot of them. But as time will permit us, we look into that. I will start this morning with the Guardian newspaper, Guardian. And it's quite a detailed and busy front page it has. MPC at crossroads over rate hike amid sticky prices and global uncertainty. MPC at crossroads over rate hike amid sticky prices and global uncertainty. And below that, you have the picture of President Tinubu having an handshake, exchanging pleasantries with the new Pope right there at the Vatican. You know, that's Pope Leo the 16th and his inauguration in Rome. That was yesterday. And away from that, 2027, Tinubu's growing hopes spark debate on efficacy of defections. 2027, Tinubu's growing hopes spark debate on efficacy of defections. All right. And below that, Egypt 2025, Nigeria beat Egypt to bronze on penalties. That's talking about the just concluded Youth African Cup of Nations under 20, where the Flying Eagles were bronze medalists. All right. Congratulations to them, at least, as they say on the street here, at all.
Nine bad. Absolutely.
You know, so when you have like 16 or 20 countries jostling and your country came third, we could have done more better, right? But then they have another shot at the World Under 20 Championship coming up because they were semi-finalists. So automatically they have qualified for the World Youth Championship.
Absolutely.
All right. Below that, UBA seeks to join suit challenging sale of IBDC. UBA seeks to join suit challenging sale of IBDC. And below that, Mambila Royal Council honors Adesoya at a daughter's wedding. Mambila Royal Council honors Adesoya at daughter's wedding. You want to know which Adesoya? Pick up a copy of the paper. And below that, still many trapped. 3 rescued as building collapse in Lagos. Again, sadly, many trapped. 3 rescued as a building collapses in Lagos. And bottom strip, Reps Association demand independent audit of JAM. I think that should be normalized because somebody doing something away from the normal, at least for years, being in charge, doesn't say we shouldn't probe what is happening there. And I think that should be a normal procedure, at a given time. Organizations, MDAs of the government, we know that they are not just left to do whatever they want, especially with the glitches, technical glitches that came with the recently released JAM results and the admittance of error by its registrar, Professor Ishaq Oloyede. Away from that, Lagos to enforce total ban on single-use plastics from July 1. And just above that, you have the picture of His Majesty the Olu of Warri, and there to stay in Nigeria, Ogiame Atuwase III. All right. And His Majesty Mrs. Zulu Kazwalitini of Zulu Kingdom in the Goma, South Africa, signing of Royal Pledge for collaboration in social-economic development, cultural exchange and investment opportunities. Nigeria collaborating with South Africa. Ogiame representing his good people, collaborating with another royalty, to bring support and development. I think that is a good one to see. Now, Tinubu Obi Fayemi meets at Pope Leo's inauguration, and you can see that picture there at the left hand, top left hand of the paper. Everyone all smiles And away from that, 50 billion naira to varsity staff. Students on edge as NASU, SANU reject sharing formula. All right. And lastly, budget slams 2025 budget for exceeding 338 trillion naira GDP projection by 3 trillion naira. All right. How we are from The Guardian for today.
From The Guardian, we move straight to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Tinubu says Nigeria's unity in diversity work in progress. Tinubu says Nigeria's unity in diversity work in progress. And that was at Pope Leo's inauguration yesterday. With the rider, meets Obi, Fayemi, and just below that, you can see the picture of the Pope, the new Pope himself, the newly inaugurated Pope, that's Pope Leo XIV, with the President of Nigeria, His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yesterday, right there. Work in progress, Nigeria's unity in diversity, that's according to the President. Away from that, moving to the top strip now. Despite positive macro environments, inflation still threats to economic stability growth, LCCI warns. Despite positive macro environment, inflation still a threat to economic stability growth, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry warns. You find a story on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. Away from that, over 4 trillion naira debts. AMCON, AMPs step up strategy to intensify recovery efforts. Over 4 trillion naira debts. Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMPs step up strategy to intensify recovery efforts. Still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Kwara governor sympathizes with families of 27 victims lost in boat tragedy. Kwara governor sympathizes with families of 27 victims lost in boat tragedy. Quite an unfortunate one right there. You find a story on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. Away from that, insurgency. Borno governor goes spiritual, declares statewide fasting, prayers. Insurgency. Borno governor goes spiritual, declares statewide fasting, prayers. Now you find that story on page 24. When leaders begin to go spiritual, declaring prayer and fasting, it is quite worrisome. Just yesterday, the governor of Borno State cried out one more time that insurgents, Boko Haram and ISWAP, are taking over the state. Okay, in Marte local government area, for instance, the governor said out of about 300 villages, only one is still standing. And insurgents have taken over the whole place.
So the question is, for how long? And that one,
your guess is as good as mine. It's just a matter of time. If out of 300 villages, only one is standing, and here's a governor crying out. So far, Femi, I'm quite surprised. This is worrisome for a governor to be crying out loud. So far, the president has not done anything. He hasn't said anything about it publicly.
So, some of these, handlers will tell you he has been having meetings that maybe it doesn't have to be public. But then this is the second time that Professor Babagana Zulum, in less than 6 weeks, will be coming out publicly to say. The first time was that they were losing grounds. Now he's saying it's not just about losing grounds. These guys are roaming free.
Taking over.
They are taking. Yeah, I think that's more like they are taking over. And 300 communities, only one is standing out. Now, the one that is even standing, the thing is, what kind of life would the villagers be living? They'll be living in perpetual fear because any sound of, something high in that place, any loud sound rather, then they will be in perpetual fear. And it speaks to them. Now, they are going spiritual. Of course, I'm a spiritual person. I believe in none of that. But then I'm a Christian. And so, if I may, Apostle Paul said, when you faith without work,
it's dead.
It's dead.
Absolutely.
So you have faith in it. You are doing fasting, which is okay. But how about speaking truth to power? Let's look ourselves in the face and say what the issues are, and we take steps.
We should do the right thing. We should do the right thing, because sometimes when we pray to God, he's just looking at us and shaking his head. That, well, according to a friend of mine, is like sometimes when I just pray to God, God be like, I show you the wine mean. That's just in pidgin English right there. Away from that, on a lighter note, but quite serious. It's quite serious if insurgents are taking over a state. The federal government should do something about it. He is crying out loud. The governor of Borno is crying out loud to the federal government to do something decisive about the state of insecurity in the state, that insurgents and terrorists are taking over, and we should take that very seriously. Moving on to other stories, still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Kidnappers kill APC ward chairman in Ondo after collecting 5 million naira ransom. Kidnappers kill APC ward chairman in Ondo after collecting 5 million naira ransom. You'll find a story on page 30 of the Nigerian Tribune. Now, this is quite worrisome. Remember we mentioned this story last week, Femi, when kidnappers kidnap an APC chieftain in Ondo. Initially they demanded 100 million naira ransom. Then two people, went there to pay a ransom of 5 million naira. So they also kidnapped the two individuals who are bearing the ransom, and they were infuriated. They were annoyed that why would you give us this? Then they requested 30 million naira. They demanded 30 million naira. But again, out of annoyance, they shot the man dead and they freed the two victims that the ones they kidnapped who came to give them the ransom. They freed them later, but they actually killed the APC chieftain. It's quite unfortunate in a sovereign state, okay, called Nigeria, that we can be having such a currency. It's very worrisome. They kidnap people, they demand for ransom, they get paid, and they still get away with it.
It's the brazen, I keep talking about the kind of audacity that these guys have. Obviously, they know that the people are aware, the security agencies are aware, even we in Osun State are aware that something is happening, yet they keep going about their business because they demanded ransom. The ransom was brought for them, and then they got upset that, oh, you're not serious, and then they kidnapped the ransom bearers, killed the man, free the guys. No, the question that people say is, do they descend from the sky?
That's the point.
And when they do these things, they return to the sky. Obviously, most likely no, because these are the issues. Who are these people? That was the reason why I said, but know that he's going spiritual. He's fine. But then when we are ready, I'm sure we know.
Absolutely, because what's the place of intelligence?
But then the sad part is you don't know who will be the next victim. You are not just sure.
What's the place of intelligence? Those guys who went to pay that ransom, they could have been, infiltrators from the DSS or from the security agencies. My question is, what is the function of intelligence gathering and intelligence agencies in Nigeria? It's quite unfortunate right there. May soul rest in peace. Away from that, moving on to other stories, still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Impact of slowing inflation. CBN's MPC faces fresh task as over 90.5% of Nigeria's currency circulates outside banks. Over 90%, 90.5% of Nigeria's currency circulates outside banks, which means we have only 9.5% circulating within the banks. The remaining 90.5% is circulating outside the banks.
Why we may not, that's a report, but why you may not want to fault that is the fact that, have you seen the kind of money people go about at events recently? Especially the last 2-3 months. Some of those celebrity events that we've witnessed, either birthdays, either weddings, and none of those things. You see people call me, and I'm not even talking about money that are being spent. I'm talking about mints. People call me bags, not handbags. The ones we call Ecola. Yeah, bags of money to come and spray. And you are wondering, how do these people get this money? Do they approach the central bank directly? Or they still through our banks? Because when they bring out these watts, not even watts, bundles now, you see them removing the wrappers. So it means they are kind of bank designated monies. And so when the report is saying 90% of it, it's outside the bank, you might want to say that's true. But the thing is, if it's outside the bank, what portion of that is in average people's pocket.
Absolutely, because apparently some people, some Nigerians still have money stashed away in their homes. I mean, huge sums of money stashed away in their homes. Quite interesting. And finally, from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, why Nigerian aviation sector's growth retards. Why Nigerian aviation sector's growth retards. That's according to experts. You'll find a story on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. And that'll be all from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
All right, we now go to the Daily Trust. That is next, the Daily Trust newspaper. Automatic tickets, contract fueling defections to the APC. Automatic tickets, contract fueling defections to APC. All right, what kind of contracts are we talking about? You know, in all of these, below that you have that viral picture of the president having a handshake with the new pope, you know, at the inauguration, and the other pictures, you know, of him, or the other picture rather, of him having some moment with some of his, you know, political inclined persons, including P2B. Now, bandits kill 49 in Katsina and Kebbi, Benue. Bandits kill 49 in Katsina, Kebbi, and Benue. Human lives have been lost almost on a daily, you know. I think last year I said something on this forum, on this platform rather, that I'm waiting for that day, you know, for that week that we will not reel out these unfortunate statistics. Just a week, you know, that we have a breather, you know, of nobody killed as a result of insurgency and banditry and all of these things. Crime is a worldwide thing. I know you can never have a zero in any community of the world or in any country. But this issue of bandits having a go at the people and just nothing life out of them.
Reign of terror.
We hope one day, I mean, in a week, we'll be so clean. And reality, I'm talking about reality, not the propaganda that some persons will say, oh, no terrorist flag is being hoisted in Nigeria. We have seen so many of them talk like that. Now, I think those persons should look at Babangana Zulum in the face. Either they are the presidency or they are, you know, whatever fancy offices, and tell Babangana Zulum, you are lying. And I'm waiting for that. You know, there is a way, if these Babangana Zulum claims have been coming from the other part of the political divide, you will see some responses. Now, Babangana Zulum is not just an APC member. He's an APC governor. He's a second-term governor. He's one of those ones that you say, critical stakeholder. Let those that are denying the reality of insecurity in Nigeria look at him in the face now and tell him, you are lying, or it's a political talk. And I think when we get to that reality and not politicize any part of this discussion, then we know that we have a lot of work to do. Now, below that, wanted kidnapper arrested at Abuja Hajj camp preparing for pilgrimage. I think that's when I saw this story over the weekend, I was happy. But then questions that are being raised, how did he get into that place? Because this guy has been on the wanted list for long. And then he was identified, picked up at the Hajj camp while a suspected criminal is preparing for pilgrimage. To go and pray to which God?
He wants to make peace with his God.
Okay, but then he will make it. You know, somebody say, we can always forgive these guys. We will forgive you, but you will face the law. It's as easy. Forgiveness is a different thing from facing the law. You have your time in the law. And then if, you know, let's just go ahead. Now, Tinubu meets bishops in Rome, urges unity in diversity, and FCT officials fingered in green areas disappearance. All right. And how Boko Haram killed 90 farmers in Borno in 5 months. So imagine, not just 90 human beings now. Yes, they are first human beings, but 90 farmers being removed from an agricultural sector in a state. What becomes of that sector in that state? Not just that they down their tools, not just that they are no more interested, they were removed from the surface of the earth. And 90 of them, you know, were farmers. And that speaks. So you don't talk about the other sectors of the economy, just 90 farmers in Borno alone. And you know, possibly is when you see the bodies that you can make it count. There are some persons that you might never see the body. And so those ones are not part of those statistics, sadly. And opposition kicks as Northwest APC endorses Tinubu for second time while we are still in 2025. Endorsement flying by May of 2025. for a 2037 election. It shows you where the priority lies.
They're only concerned about elections and power.
See the numbers that we are reeling out now, unfortunate statistics, from, that is happening, that we are seeing in the insecurities, that we are faced in Nigeria, but politicians are busy endorsing.
That's what they care about. It shows what they care about.
I saw that video of, of that event, and you have all the governors of the Northwest there, at least the APC ones, and the Speaker of the House of Reps. And then Jibril Barrow was there as well, the Deputy Senate President. And all of them say, oh, if you support Mr. President for 2027, say aye, say aye, say aye. Is there any nay? Somebody wanted to say nay. Another person said, no, there's no nay. Bam. And that's endorsement. Why some communities are becoming killing fields.
Quite unfortunate.
Nothing needs to be paraphrased. It's obvious. And 37 persons die in Kwara boat accident. This is so much, to start a week with. But then it is the reality. And just like our motto here says at Western Spring Television, we will say it as it is. That will be all from the Daily Trust.
And from the Daily Trust, we move to the front page of The Nation newspaper this morning. Let's convert our diversity to prosperity, says Tinubu. Let's convert our diversity to prosperity, says Tinubu. We're a rider. President at Pope's inauguration meets President at Pope's inauguration mass, with another rider. Leo XIV pledges peace in the world. Just below that, you see the picture of the Pope, Pope Leo XIV, and the President of Nigeria at the inauguration mass yesterday. And beside that, you see the picture of a monarch, a Nigerian monarch, the Olu of Warri, and of course another monarch, South African monarch right there, in partnership talks. I'm looking at that picture. At first glance, I actually thought that was a picture of a woman until I realized it was actually a king. Exactly. Away from that, still on the front page of The Nation newspaper this morning. MPC to retain interest rates in bid to bring down inflation. MPC to retain interest rates in bid to bring down inflation. Yakasai. Nobody has capacity to unseat Tinubu. Nobody has capacity to unseat Tinubu. You find a story on page 6 of The Nation. Politicians saying what they like to say. Someone coming out saying nobody has the capacity. Of course, he's feeding fat on something.
Well, isn't that looking obvious now? Because those with quote-unquote capacities are rushing towards the same man.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
People are rushing.
But then we say millions of persons like yourself who have capacity, who might want to throw your heart into the rings and say, let's have it. You know what is on social media? Let's have it. Maybe not now.
A lot of people gravitating towards the president, and he's saying, I'm not forcing them. They are coming to me.
Have you seen pictures of where he held them at a gunpoint?
Exactly.
You haven't seen any.
They're voluntarily gravitating towards him.
Well, that is voluntary is what we find out.
The president is playing his power game very well. He's a strategist, and he's playing his power game very well, spreading money in the right places, as some people will say. Spreading money.
Okay. It's good that you said some people, because I don't know about that.
Absolutely. Away from that, still on the front page of The Nation newspaper. Can Nigeria first policy fire up sluggish manufacturing sector? Can Nigeria first policy fire up sluggish manufacturing sector? That's a big question. You find a story on pages 2, 3, and 6 of The Nation newspaper talking about Nigeria's first policy. Of course, if it works, it should fire up our manufacturing sector. If Nigerians begin to patronize Nigerian-made products, we have a population of about 232 million people or more. Just imagine that we take Nigeria first seriously, starting from the government. Everything they acquire everything is Nigerian. Starting from their cars, their furniture, everything, if they do Nigerian products, and the same thing with Nigerian citizens, of course, it will boost manufacturing in Nigeria. Away from that, still on the front page of The Nation newspaper, bank targets 3 trillion naira to extend loans to MSMEs. Bank targets 3 trillion naira to extend loans to MSMEs, that's medium and small enterprises, right there. Then finally, from the front page of the Nation newspaper, at the bottom strip, Omokri, Utomi's shadow government plan, alien. Utomi's shadow government plan, alien. That's according to Omokri. Quite strange. You might want to read up that story in the Nation newspaper. And finally, Alake, China's electric vehicle plants coming. China's electric vehicle plants coming. I get there'll be a new one in Nigeria. And that'll be all from the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, maybe we can just do one more before we, take the break. And that obviously will be the This Day newspaper on this same day. Do not let Mate fall. Zulumbeck's federal government spends night coordinating security logistics. That's the governor coordinating logistics and security now. Do not let Mate fall, because just like Daniel said earlier, and has been reported earlier, that's the only community standing. So you can afford it to fall. And we should not just slide into pre-2014 era in the insecurity in level in this nation, because that will not be good for this country. We think we have moved, and we have, possibly, getting clear of this era of criminals roaming free. Not just that the girls have a go and they return. Now they are roaming free in some places. And the CNC in that state, he's saying, please, that's the only community standing in some, in that axis of the state.
And you know one funny thing that's happening? Some of these bandits actually claim they're providing security for the people. For instance, we have the Boko Haram, then we have the ISWAP. I mean, there are two different, terrorist groups. Criminals. The one will claim they are protecting the community and be collecting levies from them. They'll be paying for protection. So I was reading a report, over the weekend, quite an unfortunate one, that the leader of the group actually protecting them was not around. So the rival group took advantage of that, rounded up about 50 farmers and slaughtered most of them. Quite unfortunate in Nigeria.
Do not let Mate fall. Zulumbeck's federal government spends night coordinating security logistics. Well, Tinubu meets Pope Leo the 14th. Yeah, I think I said the 16th the other time. To clarify, is Pope Leo the 14th. Now, stresses importance of peace and tolerance. With riders there, urges Nigerians to utilize diversity for nation stability, rapid development, banter with Fayemi and Obi, and then VP Vance Zelensky at an installation of Papa. Pontiff seeks unity for divided church and vows not to be autocrat. All right. And then one very important message that he passed, and they reaffirmed that his position as the leader of the church, at least the Roman Catholic Church, is the fact that he is still in support of the family setting, and the only two genders that he knows is the man and the woman. All right. Below that, you have the picture of two sages, actually, who, they don't really say eye to eye in a kind of way in their disposition to different things. That's the Eboro himself, Olusegun Obasanjo, former president, and Nobel laureate, Professor Oluwole Soyinka. These are two head of state men, and in which they don't agree on the same things most of the times. But they are both, indigenes of Ogun State. They were present at the Nigerian Sports Festival, in which it was flagged open yesterday by the governor himself, Dapo Abiodun. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo with Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka exchanging pleasantries during the ongoing National Sport Festival in Abeokuta, Ogun State yesterday. Was quite a scene and quite an event at the opening ceremony yesterday, which featured many. I saw the Osun State contingent, beautifully looking, and while they were making their parade as well. We wish them all the best. We hope they return with solid medals. Many of them, gold. So let's at least gold is part of our, part of the Osun logo here. So let's have a lot of it. Wishing you guys all the best and an injury-free competition as well. And it climaxed with the performance of the 001 himself. They call him the 001 in the entertainment sector. That's Davido, who is a son
Really?
of Soul. Yeah.
Arguably so. Some wouldn't agree with that. I mean,
Okay.
those supporting other musicians will say, why is he 001?
Okay, all right. That's not the topic this morning.
Perhaps 001 for
maybe on
perhaps
the eccentric guys should take that up.
Yeah, and this man shouldn't come after me anyways. I'm not doing entertainment here.
Okay, all right. Now, away from that, top strip, Lokubiri, $5 billion African Energy Bank in final stage before kickoff. $5 billion African Energy Bank in final stage before kickoff, with a rider to that, Urama Ibrahim inspect new headquarters in Abuja. Urama Ibrahim inspect new headquarters in Abuja. And just before we go, ex-US leader Biden diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer. We wish him all the best. And lastly, at the bottom strip, Saraki, Buhari harassed, intimidated me because I opposed uncapped borrowing. That is a former governor of Kwara State now, Bukola Saraki. Buhari harassed, intimidated me because I opposed uncapped borrowings. I think, you got to look into that in the cards.
Was that why it was in the Senate, I guess? That should be.
Yeah, he had issues with the CCB thing. Why it was pressed just after, there was a way he played that game that made him emerge as the Senate president when he was there, because he wasn't supposed to be. Absolutely. And so he made some deals with the opposition, the opposition party senators. And then before you could know what's happening, he has emerged.
Took everyone by surprise.
Against the runoff play, against
Buhari's plans.
Against the plan of his own party. So before you could say what was happening, I think some went for meeting at the villa before they could come back. The guy was home and dry. And, just after that, there was allegation of him not declaring false declaration of asset, actually. But then this is Bukola Saraki's story. Maybe Buhari too will say something on that in the coming days to say, no, it wasn't because of uncapped borrowing. It was because, we found something in your books. But then everybody that has been in charge of something should know one day, even 50 years after they left, in as much you are held in trust, or you held in trust these patrimony of the people, you can be asked. And it should not really be a witch hunting. But then history is being made, even as we are talking right now. We take a break. When we return, we will speak to these issues. We are live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring TV. Stay with us.